Welcome to Be the Boss of Your Money. I'm your host, Mitch Goldberg, financial advisor with the wealth management firm Client First Strategy. This show is about markets, money, personal finance, and helping you be as informed as possible so that you could feel confident that you're making the right decisions for you and your family. So, with that, let's talk about why is the Nasdaq down 4% plus in the last week or so. Let's talk about interest rates and let's talk about layoffs in the tech sector, a little bit about the economy. We're going to tie it all together in just a couple of minutes. This whole show is going to be a few minutes. So, pay attention. Please listen. While you're watching, give us a thumbs up or a heart or whatever available reaction is to you, depending on what platform you're watching on. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please consider subscribing. If you have questions about what we're talking about here, or personal finance or investing or financial planning, you are welcome to reach out to me directly. Financial planners are standing by. So let's roll the quick intro and then we're going to get into it. Here we go. All right. Thank you so much for watching. First, I want to just talk about what the heck is going on with the market. Why does everything seem so weak all of a sudden? What happened to the stock market? So let's share a screen. Put myself up here. Okay. This isn't what I want to show you. First, I want to show you this. Okay. The 30-year mortgage is solidly in the 7% range. We were getting down to about 6.25% a few months ago, and it looked like housing was going to start to become a little bit easier. Home sales are starting to go up. Mortgage applications were going up. We were even seeing some like refi activity, believe it or not. But that has all been squashed because interest rates are just flying higher. And you could blame this, the 10-year treasury at just about 4.79%. Let's round it up to 4.8%. And with that, it's doing two things. Two things it's doing. It's killing the housing market because it is just becoming so prohibitively expensive to buy a house. Rising insurance costs. You see the fires taking place in California. God bless those people. Let's keep them in our prayers. You saw the hurricanes in the southeast recently, floods and tornadoes. Just homeowners insurance is going up no matter where you live. Flood zone, not a flood zone. Northeast, southeast, Great Plains, Southwest, Midwest, Northwest, Southwest. It doesn't matter where you live. When the costs of insurance start going up, when the replacement numbers for houses goes up, and the cost of materials go up, it doesn't matter if there are disasters in your area where you live. The cost of materials are going up. Therefore, your homeowner's insurance costs have to go up too, so that the insurance company could be compensated in case it has to pay for your building materials. What's taking place in California is so massive. And you think about anywhere in the country that could happen, drought, really dry weather followed by high winds, high winds. It's really a national disaster. I don't know how many more of these things people could take. And it's not like you can just rebuild. It's not like you could just rebuild houses. It's not like you could just rebuild houses that have been built a long time ago. These houses today have much stricter codes, much stricter zoning. They need to use better materials, better reinforced roofs, things like that. So the cost of building a house has only gone up. Now with the demand for building materials for the next decade or so throughout the state of California. Well, I shouldn't say throughout the state, but in very heavily populated parts of Southern California, I don't think we're going to see any abatement in inflation because of this. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing interest rates tick up. Tomorrow we have inflation figures coming out. They do not yet reflect the rising cost of building materials. Uh, so whatever the number is, I think the street just walks past it and is already going to be looking into February at the January numbers and the March, the February numbers in March, because we want to see what the cost of building materials has done. We want to see how many people are going to be on unemployment and how many people are going to be needing government assistance. These are going to be massive, mind-boggling numbers coming up. So we have a lot of big hurdles to get past in the stock market over the next couple of months. You put that on to what has disappeared is the Trump bump from the election till now. After the election, we had this big rise in the stock market, small caps, technology, Bitcoin. Markets rose. Bitcoin's holding up okay, but it's down, a good 6%, 7% from its peak. I think it's about that right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we're also seeing the whole Trump bump in the stock market has basically disappeared. And now people are really worried about inflation again. And they're worried about what the Trump tariffs could do. He's sticking to his guns. And, we have an internal revenue service. Trump is talking about an external revenue service to collect money on tariffs. And he's also saying that for countries that want to retaliate with tariffs of their own, if they are recipients of American military assistance, defense, then he's going to pull back on that for them too. So he's really putting our partners into a tough spot too, which is going to make other countries wonder maybe how much they want to affiliate, ally with us. Lots of things to continue to watch. A lot of bumps coming up, but that's the big reason why the stock market all of a sudden seems so wobbly. It's been going on for the last throughout December, continuing now into the middle of January. So about 45 days of a wobbly market. That's because interest rates keep marching higher and higher. Let's talk about this layoffs. Okay, Meta announces 5% cuts in preparation for an intense year, and Microsoft pauses hiring in the U.S. consulting unit for cost cutting. And it makes sense because if these big companies, the big tech companies, are leading in artificial intelligence, basically artificial intelligence means doing more with fewer people. So it makes sense that code is going to replace people. Artificial intelligence is going to reduce the need for large headcounts. And we wonder what that's going to do to the economy and to employment. Now, employment's been running pretty hot lately. But this is the first time that I've seen in a long time the leaders of the market, the big tech stocks, are actually looking to reduce headcount. Certainly not good for hiring. You see that with people getting laid off from Google as well. So bears watching artificial intelligence, the people inventing artificial intelligence, looks like they're inventing themselves out of employment while they're doing that, right? I want to talk to you about something here. Why? Okay. Why? Here we are. Here we are. Why Vanguard likes a 40-60 portfolio to boost returns over the next decade. Now, you're not reading that wrong. It says 40-60 in the headline, although we always talk about 60-40. A 60-40 portfolio is a very common portfolio asset allocation, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. And that's not for somebody who's 25 or 35, even 45. But when you start to hit about 60, 55, 60, 65, is really, to me, when you're getting into a 60-40 portfolio. It depends on other things. If you have a lot of income coming in, it depends if you're ever planning to retire. It depends on your, the amount of assets you have, because some people, just because they're older, they could still afford to take more risk. They might not want to, though, and some people have to take more risk. So these are very general rules of thumb. These are very general rules of thumb when you talk about a 60-40 portfolio being appropriate for somebody. That somebody is quite amorphous, and it's not always exact. Some people are 50-50, 50 stocks, 50% bonds, etc. It's different for everybody, and I think you have to look at this on a case-by-case basis. Although if you make models up of 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, you're starting to find models that are appropriate for different people from different walks of life with different financial situations. But Vanguard says 40-60, that they like to boost returns over the next decade. That's a reflection that they are pushing or believing in. It's similar to what Goldman Sachs said, that the next 10 years we could see muted stock returns because the returns over the last few years have been so strong that starting from higher valuations today means lower potential returns over the next 10 years. Now, I remember another time when we had super high valuations in 2000. The market tanked. It was a decade of going nowhere. It took the Nasdaq 15 years to recover. Most people today are not accustomed to waiting 15 years for a major index to recover. By the way, you cannot invest directly into an index, but you could invest into a security that tracks or mimics an index. Okay. So Vanguard likes a 40-60. Now, they don't say it's for everybody, but they're making the case that a higher percentage of your returns could actually come from the bond market. So I want to show you. Now, this has to be taken on a case-by-case basis. It depends on what walk of life you're in, how much risk you could take. There's a lot of things that go into this. I have clients who have accumulated substantial wealth who do not want to take risk in the stock market. They never have. It's just not for them. You could talk to them logically, but they have their own logical reasons to avoid the stock market, and it's different for everybody. But I want to show you something. We just looked at the 10-year treasury. Let me pop you back up on the screen here at 4.79%. So if you buy a 10-year treasury today, you put $100,000 into it, you're going to get about $4,800, $2,400 every 6 months. And after 10 years, you get your $100,000 back when the bond matures, and you keep that roughly $4,800 for 10 years. So you made $48,000. So you've gotten about half the value that you put into the bonds back in the form of cash. There's some good things about that, because with a bond, in 10 years that your $100,000 is going to be worth $100,000 at maturity. These are treasury securities, so they're guaranteed by the government, backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. Even if the government had to print money to give you your money back, you're getting your money back. Okay, that's why treasuries are considered safe. Longer ones, not so stable. Shorter term treasuries, more stable. So if you buy a treasury bill that matures in 3 to 6 months, it'll be pretty stable regardless of what external things happen in the world. Those will be pretty steady in price. You buy one that matures in 10 years or 20 or 30 years, those could swing up and down in price a lot. But you know that if you hold until maturity, you're getting your par value back, which is 100 cents in the dollar. Having said that, if you're getting the $2,400 in this case every 6 months, or you're getting $4,800 a year, what do you do with the $4,800? You could reinvest it back into new bonds, but the new bonds you buy might pay a higher yield or a lower yield. You might be lazy and not reinvest the $4,800. I'm sorry, the $2,400 every 6 months, or you might do it, you might not. But if I was going to do this right now, right this second, a 40-60 portfolio, I want to give you a quick and easy way to do this if you're going to be a 10-year investor, in this case, a long-term investor. And that is why I want to show you this. This says U.S. Treasury Strip. See the coupon there? We were just looking at one that said about 4.8%, yet this says 0. So instead of paying, about 100 cents on the dollar for about a 4.8% yield, you could buy this bond here at $61, 61 cents on the dollar, and get almost a 5% yield, 4.95%. This is before fees and commissions. And in this case, the yield to maturity, if you buy it at 61.023 cents on the dollar, you're getting a 5% plus yield to maturity. And in 10 years, let's say you pay $61,000 for this bond instead of 100,000, like the other example. In 10 years, this 61,000 will be worth $100,000. You won't get that $2,400 every 6 months. What you'll get is the appreciation from 61,000 to 100,000, or you could just take steady Eddie 100,000, kind of like lending somebody, like you're literally lending somebody, you're lending the government money. They're going to hold on to this mark worth $100,000, and they're going to pay you $4,800 a year, $48,000. In this case, okay, 61 cents in the dollar, they won't give you interest, but what the government will do is give you 100 cents in the dollar in 10 years. So if you're doing a 40-60 portfolio, in this case, you'd put, it's not quite, it's like 39.61, but if you could put 39% or $39,000 into the stock market and $61,000 into the bond market, into a 10-year treasury zero coupon bond, that's $100,000. That is as close to 40-60 as you can get, right? That's pretty, well, it's not as close as you can get, but it's pretty darn close. And you know that guaranteed your $100,000 will be there in 10 years, because this $61,000 you paid 61 on the 61 cents in the dollar. Okay, see that 61,023. Imagine that says $610.23 for the bond. So that's guaranteed to be worth 100,000. So now you've got your $39,000 in the stock market, and that could conceivably double in the next 10 years, right? It can conceivably double. So you could turn out to get from 61,000, that could become 100,000. And if your bonds double, okay, that's 100. So that's 80. So it turns into, it could possibly be $180,000 in 10 years. Actually, it could be more. It could be 100. Yeah, no, that's right. 180,000. What am I talking about? So that's one way to build a 40-60 portfolio. The reason why you would go with a zero coupon bond, the reason for that is because you don't have to do anything. Instead of getting an interest payment, you're getting a zero coupon bond where the interest is really the bond accruing in value. So you automatically reinvest at the current yield. In this case, it was a little over 5%. And this bond is available now. I mean, like, you could buy this bond right now. Okay. This is real life. This does not include fees, commissions, and taxes. But you want to get into a deeper conversation about it, just reach out to me or your financial advisor. And it's a pretty easy thing to walk you through. So having said that, you get 61,000, you make $39,000 in the bond in 10 years, and you could double your money in the market in 10 years. And that's a pretty good way to build an easy 40-60 portfolio, which is what we just saw in the headline that Vanguard was talking about. And that's one way to go. But as your coupon bond, the good thing is you don't have to worry about reinvesting the coupon, the interest that you get, called the coupon. You don't have to worry about reinvesting it every 6 months. You don't have to worry about reinvestment risk. That's what it's called, reinvestment risk. And you don't have to worry about principal risk, because these are U.S. treasuries. They're backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. So there are practical, real-life ways to building these portfolios. And what I like about this, it doesn't necessarily just involve buying another bond ETF, which has no maturity date. You get some money in it, you reinvest a little bit. I think that for many of my clients, it's a much better way to go. So if you're looking for practical ways to achieve real life goals, this is one way to go. Okay. That's about it. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time. I hope this was clear. It's one thing to think about this in your head. It's another thing to explain it to people in a live stream. But if you want to talk more about this, reach out, send me a DM or give me a call, whatever, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.